The 2012 Summer Paralympics, the 14th Summer Paralympic Games, and also more generally known as the London 2012 Paralympic Games, were a major international multi-sport event for athletes with disabilities governed by the International Paralympic Committee, that took place in London, England from the 29th of August to the 9th of September 2012. These Paralympics were one of the largest multi-sport events ever held in the United Kingdom after the 2012 Summer Olympics, and were the largest Paralympics ever. 4,302 athletes from 164 national Paralympic committees participated, with 14 countries appearing in the Paralympics for the first time ever. A total of 503 events in 20 sports were held during these Games, for the first time since their suspension after the 2000 Paralympics. Events for the intellectually disabled were also held in selected sports. The lead-up to these Games prominently emphasized the return of the Paralympic movement to its spiritual birthplace. In 1948, the British village of Stoke Mandeville first hosted the Stoke Mandeville Games, an athletics event for disabled British veterans of the Second World War held to coincide with the opening of the Summer Olympics in London. They were the first ever organised sporting event for disabled athletes, and served as a precursor to the modern Paralympic Games. Stoke Mandeville also co-hosted the 1984 Summer Paralympics with Long Island, New York, after its original host, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, pulled out due to financial issues. Organizers expected the Games to be the first Paralympics to achieve mass market appeal, fueled by continued enthusiasm from the British public following the country's successful performance at the Summer Olympics. Awareness of the United Kingdom's role in the history of the Paralympics, public attention surrounding South African sprinter Oscar Pistorius, a major marketing campaign instituted by the Games' local broadcaster, and growing media coverage of Paralympic sport. The Games ultimately met these expectations, breaking records for ticket sales, heightening the profile of the Paralympics in relation to the Olympics, and prompting IPC President Philip Craven to declare them the greatest Paralympic Games ever. Bidding process. As part of a formal agreement between the International Paralympic Committee and the International Olympic Committee established in 2001, the winner of the bid for the 2012 Summer Olympics was also to host the 2012 Summer Paralympics. At the 117th ISE session in Singapore, the rights to host the 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics were awarded to London. Development and preparation. As with the Olympics, the 2012 Summer Paralympics were overseen by LOCOG and the Olympic Delivery Authority. LOCOG was responsible for overseeing the staging of the Games, while the ODA dealt with infrastructure and venues. The Government Olympic Executive within the Department for Culture, Media and Sport was the lead government body for coordinating the London 2012 Olympics and Paralympics. The GO reported through the DCMS Permanent Secretary to the Minister for Sports and the Olympics Hugh Robertson. It focused on oversight of the Games, cross-programme management and the London 2012 Olympic legacy. Venues and infrastructure. The 2012 Summer Paralympics used many of the same venues as the 2012 Summer Olympics, along with several new locations such as Eton Manor for wheelchair tennis and Brands Hatch for road cycling. London's purpose-built Olympic venues and facilities, including the Olympic Village itself, were designed to be accessible as possible so they could easily accommodate the Paralympics. Some venues also contained additional accessible seating areas during the Paralympics. Public transport. Transport for London operated the Paralympic route network to facilitate road traffic between venues and facilities. The network provided 8.7 miles of lanes specifically reserved for Paralympic athletes and officials. Prior to the Games, concerns were raised by TfL Commissioner Peter Hendy that London's transportation system might not be able to handle the Paralympics adequately. He feared that the end of the school summer holiday would result in increased traffic, and that commuters might not heed traffic warnings or change their travel behavior as they had during the Olympics. Sevenoaks Railway Station was designated as the preferred station for spectators travelling to watch the cycling at Brands Hatch. Organisers chose Sevenoaks over the closer Swanley railway station because of its existing step-free access and excellent transport links, and because Swanley did not yet have a wheelchair lift. Whilst organisers did not believe that Swanley would be able to have wheelchair lifts installed by the start of the Paralympics, the station finished their installation by early August 2012. Lead-up and promotion handover ceremony. The formal handover occurred during the closing ceremony of the 2008 Summer Paralympics in Beijing, when Mayor of London Boris Johnson received the Paralympic flag from Mayor of Beijing Guo Zhilong. This was followed by a cultural presentation by Britain, which was similar to its presentation during the Olympics closing ceremony. It featured urban dance group Zoo Nation, the Royal Ballet, and Candico, a physically integrated dance group, all dressed as London commuters and waiting for a bus by a zebra crossing. A double-decker bus drove around the stadium, guided by Adi Adepitan, to music composed by Philip Shepherd. The top of the bus was open and folded down to show a privet hedge featuring London landmarks such as Tower Bridge, the Gherkin and the London Eye. Cherry Soze, drummer for Mika, and Sam Hagedus then performed, before the top of the bus folded up into its original form, sporting multi-coloured Paralympic livery. Both the Paralympic and Olympic flags were formally raised outside of London City Hall on 26 September 2008. British Paralympians Ellen Rainsford and Chris Holmes raised the Paralympic flag. Paralympic Day and Super Saturday. On 8 September 2011, Trafalgar Square staged International Paralympic Day, hosted by Rick Edwards, Adi Adepitan and Ewan Thomas, to coincide with a visit to London by representatives of the IPC. The event celebrated the Paralympic Games, showcasing and demonstrating the 20 sports that would feature during the Games. It also featured appearances by Paralympic athletes Oscar Pistorius, Ellie Simmonds and Sasha Kindred. British Prime Minister David Cameron and London's Mayor Boris Johnson also appeared. 2 days later, on 10 September, supermarket chain Sainsbury's and Channel 4 presented Sainsbury's Super Saturday, a family event at Clapham Common. The event featured showcases of Paralympic sports, and a concert featuring pop music acts including Nicola Roberts, Ollie Murs, The Wanted, Will Young, Pixie Lott, Dappy, Sugar Babes, The Saturdays, Chipmunk and Tayo Cruz. Channel 4 promotional campaign. Channel 4, the host broadcaster of the 2012 Summer Paralympics in the United Kingdom, promoted its coverage of the Games with a multi-platform advertising campaign that included television adverts, online content, and billboard advertising, some of which carrying the tagline, "Thanks for the warm-up." Overall, Channel 4's campaign aimed to change the public's view of the Paralympics, encouraging viewers to see the Games as an event in its own right, rather than as an afterthought to the Olympics. As part of the campaign, Channel 4 produced a 2-minute-long trailer for its coverage entitled Meet the Superhumans, which was directed by Tom Tahome with input from Deborah Poulton, 2012 Paralympic project leader, and Alison Walsh, editorial manager of Disability, both at Channel 4. The trailer, set to Public Enemy's song, Harder Than You Think, focused on the competitive and superhuman aspects of Paralympic sport, while acknowledging the personal events and struggles that reflected every athlete's participation in the Games. Meet the Superhumans premiered on 17 July 2012, and aired simultaneously as a roadblock advert on 78 different commercial television channels in the UK. The advert was met with critical acclaim. Adweek's Tim Nudd declared it the summer's most stunning sports commercial, while Simon Usborne of The Independent felt it was an act of branding genius and a clear bid to bring the Paralympics from the sporting wings to center stage. The advert was seen by an estimated audience of 10 million viewers. Channel 4's marketing and communications chief Dan Brooke estimated that reaction to the advert through social media was double that of the premiere of the BBC's trailer for its Olympics coverage. Meet the Superhumans won a Golden Lion Award at the Cannes Lions Festival in June 2013, losing the overall award to Dumb Ways to Die. Sir John Hegarty, the jury president, said of it, "When you've got some really outstanding work, it is tragic in some ways it can't get a bigger award, but there can only be one Grand Prix." While jury member Carlo Cavallone added, "Meet the Superhumans is an amazing campaign. One of the golds that went through the judging process immediately. Everyone felt it had the highest level of craft. It puts an issue that was really important before London 2012 to raise awareness of the Paralympics, and they were hyper-successful." Dumb Ways to Die was a tough contender. A Royal Mail stamped in gold post boxes. In August 2009, Royal Mail unveiled a series of 30 stamps about the coming Olympic and Paralympic Games. They were released in batches of 10 between 2009 and July 2011. Each stamp featured an Olympic or Paralympic sport and the London 2012 logo, as it had done during the Olympics. Royal Mail honoured Britain's Paralympic gold medalists by painting a postbox gold in each of their hometowns, and featured among commemorative stamps released throughout the Games. Royal Mail originally planned only to release a series of 6 stamps with group portraits of Britain's medalists. However, the decision was met with backlash from critics, who argued that the organisation was discriminating against Paralympians by not granting them the same individual recognition as their Olympian counterparts. Olympic Shadow Minister Tessa Jowell was also critical of Royal Mail's plan, saying that the stamps were a symbolic aspect of Britain's celebration of the Olympics and that it would be a shame if this important symbol was not offered to our Paralympian heroes as well. Royal Mail initially defended its decision, arguing that it would have been logistically and practically impossible to issue individual stamps for each gold medalist, since it expected the British team to meet or exceed its performance at Beijing of 42 gold medals. As a result of the criticism, Royal Mail announced on 15 August 2012 that it would release individual stamps for each British gold medalist during the Paralympics test events. Several Paralympics-specific events were held during the London Prepares series of test events for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. These included the London International Goalball Tournament, and the London Disability Grand Prix, which was also the first Paralympic event to be held at London's Olympic Stadium. Torch Relay. The Paralympic Torch Relay began on the 22nd of August, when groups of disabled and non-disabled scouts kindled 4 Paralympic flames on the highest peaks of each nation of the United Kingdom, Scafell Pike in England, then Nevis in Scotland, Slieve Donard in Northern Ireland, and Snowdon in Wales. On the 24th of August, the 4 flames were used to light ceremonial cauldrons in London, Edinburgh, Belfast and Cardiff during special Flame Festival events. Smaller Flame Celebration events were also held in various communities over the bank holiday weekend. On the 28th of August, the 4 flames were united during a ceremony at Stoke Mandeville Stadium. The flame then travelled a 92-mile route to Olympic Stadium in a 24-hour relay, with 580 torch-bearers working in teams of 5. After a 2-hour weather delay, a backup flame was taken straight to the stadium as a contingency, and the relay route was modified. However, as the opening ceremony's Parade of Nations took longer than expected, the flame was able to arrive at Olympic Stadium in time. Ticketing. 2.7 million tickets were offered in total, including event-specific tickets and those granting access solely to the Olympic Park, along with multi-event passes offered for XL London and Olympic Park that were intended to allow spectators to discover a variety of Paralympic events. Unlike previous Paralympics, tickets were in extremely high demand, and the ticket allocation was increased from the originally planned 2.5 million. Whilst the period during the Olympics has historically been the busiest for Paralympic sales, 1.4 million tickets were already sold before the start of the Summer Olympics, already surpassing the total number sold in Sydney. The high demand resulted in technical issues with the Ticketmaster-operated website, which led to complaints via social networking services by users who were struggling to order. Organizers expected the first-ever sellout in the history of the Paralympics. LOCOG's chief executive Paul Dayton remarked that, "The interest in attending the Paralympics has been extraordinary from the start. This success was attributed to the enthusiasm surrounding Great Britain's performance during the Olympics, fan interest in South African, Blade Runner, Oscar Pistorius, and affordable prices." On the 8th of August, LOCOG announced that 2.1 million tickets had been sold, breaking the record of 1.8 million set in Beijing. IPC President Philip Craven congratulated London for this achievement, crediting it to the insatiable appetite the public has for top-class elite sport, and noted it would be fitting for a Paralympics held in its spiritual birthplace to have filled venues. By the opening ceremony, 2.4 million had been sold, with the remaining 100,000 sold during the Games. 10,000 were offered each day. The last 800 tickets to the opening ceremony were distributed to police and the military, while Mayor Boris Johnson arranged for the distribution of 1,100 to members of London's youth athletics clubs. Due to popular demand, a further 100,000 contingency tickets were released on the 6th of September, along with 100,000 giving access solely to the Olympic Park logo. The 2012 Summer Paralympics used an emblem sharing a common design with that of the Summer Olympics, the first time this had ever been done. The logo, designed by Wolf Collins, was unveiled on 4 June 2007, and is a representation of the number 2012. The Paralympic version has its own distinct color scheme, and substitutes the Olympic rings with the Paralympic agitos mascots. The official mascot of the 2012 Summer Paralympic Games, Mandeville, was unveiled alongside its Olympic counterpart Wenlock on 19 May 2010. As characters, they are portrayed drops of steel from a steelworks in Bolton, and feature singular camera eyes, representing focus, and the cameras being used to capture the games. Mandeville is named in honor of Stoke Mandeville due to its significance in the origins of the Paralympics. Mandeville also wears a helmet emblazoned in the red, green, and blue colors of the Paralympic emblem. Opening ceremony. The opening ceremony was held on 29 August at the Olympic Stadium. It was inspired by William Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, and themed around the concept of enlightenment. It featured appearances by theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, along with actors Ian McKellen and Nicola Miles Wilden playing the roles of Prospero and Miranda from The Tempest. The ceremony also featured a performance by British electronic music group Orbital. The leading UK disabled theatre company Greer played their version of the polio survivor Ian Dury's 1981 protest song, Spasticus Autisticus. The final bearers of the Paralympic flame represented several generations of Paralympic athletes. Joe Townsend, a Royal Marine who lost both of his legs after stepping on a landmine on duty in Afghanistan, delivered the flame to Olympic Stadium via a zipline from the ArcelorMittal Orbit Tower. He passed the flame to long-time British five-a-side football captain David Clarke, who then passed it to the lighter of the Paralympic cauldron, Margaret Amorn, who was the winner of Britain's first gold medal at the first official Paralympics, in Rome. Closing ceremony. The closing ceremony was held on 9 September at the Olympic Stadium, and titled The Festival of the Flame. The ceremony was themed around the gathering of people in celebration, and was directed by Kim Gavin, who also directed the closing ceremony of the Summer Olympics just a few weeks prior. The ceremony featured sequences set to a live performance by the British rock band Coldplay, who were accompanied by guest performers such as the British Para Orchestra, Barbadian singer Rihanna and American rapper Jay-Z. To mark its hosting of the 2016 Summer Paralympics, the Paralympic flag was passed from Boris Johnson, Mayor of London, to Eduardo Paes, Mayor of Rio de Janeiro. LOCOG Chief Sebastian Coe and IPC President Philip Craven both congratulated London for its successful hosting of the Paralympics. Coe was proud that both the Olympics and Paralympics in London could be labelled "Made in Britain," while Philip felt that the Games were the greatest Paralympic Games ever. Ellie Simmonds and Johnny Peacock shared the honour of extinguishing the Paralympic cauldron, sharing its last flame on torches to others throughout the stadium to represent its eternal spirit.